Karen Bagley. I'm a personal chef and cooking instructor here in DeLand. We're going to do some compound butters today for the holiday season. Compound butters are just simply butter that you mix with other ingredients, and it's only limited by your imagination. We're going to do 4 different ones today. The first one we're going to do is for chicken, and it's going to be garlic and herbs. And what I've done is I've got some rosemary here, a little bit of oregano, thyme, and garlic. And this is a little bit of softened butter, and you do have to have it at room temperature, otherwise it's not going to mix very easily. The other thing you can do, I like to not wash a lot of dishes, so what I do is I just do it in a bowl, but you can do it in a food processor as well, and that makes the butter a little bit fluffier. Okay, so this is what we're going to do, is just chop up our herbs. And you can use any type of herb that you like. Like I said, I have rosemary, oregano, and thyme here, but you can also do it with parsley, chives, sage, anything that you like. For the holidays, you might like to have that sage in there because that goes really nice with turkey. Okay, so we've got that. And then everybody knows this, you know, to peel a little clove of garlic, you just kind of smash it a little bit. Take this off. And I'm not going to chop it because I have this handy dandy press here. So I'm going to put it in there. I like that better. And if you're going to buy one of these, I can tell you this, you want one with a hinge like this. You don't, if this doesn't move, you're going to have a hard time getting the pressure that you need in there. Okay. And then we've got our butter here. We're going to put all of this right in there. And just simply mix it up. And you just keep mixing and mixing and mixing until it's all nice and blended. And you can see that if your butter's not soft enough, where you might have a difficult time with it. But again, you just, and that's it. So that's our herb and garlic, and we're going to put that under a chicken breast, under the skin of a chicken breast. You can also do it with your turkey. If you want to do a whole turkey, you can stick it underneath there, and we'll show you how to do that in a minute, but we're going to move on to the next butter. Hi, the next butter we're going to do, the next compound butter we're going to do is orange and ginger. And this works really nicely on carrots, which is a great holiday dish to have. So what you do here again is you have your softened butter, and then an orange that you're going to grate finely with one of these little raspers. And the thing with the oranges or any citrus when you're doing it is you want to make sure that you only get this outside part. You want to stay away from this white part, that's called the pith, and it's very bitter. So you just want to keep going like this until you get the amount that you need. And on the amounts too, you know, you can look up recipes for compound butters, but again, it's really just what you like. If you don't like garlic, don't put garlic in it. If you don't like orange and you'd rather have lemon, do that. If you like a combination, do that. Don't get tied to a recipe. The whole idea is to use your imagination and have fun cooking. So we've got that, and I'm going to put that in the butter. And then we have some fresh ginger, and I'm just going to peel this. My peeler doesn't want to work. And again, you just grate it. You can use either one of these. It's basically the same thing. You can use this one. And fresh ginger is great, and a good way to store it, because people usually buy it and then it goes bad, so a good way to store it is just wrap it in a paper towel and put it in a plastic bag and put it in your refrigerator. So we're going to put that in there. Oh, and I forgot to mention earlier that you should use unsalted butter. The butter that you buy with the salt in it tends to be really salty, so you want to control how much salt you put in there. So you can put a pinch of salt in each of these if you like, and I can do that. But just remember, you can always add more salt, but you can't take it out. And that's our second one. Okay, we're on to our third compound butter, and this one is tarragon and Gorgonzola. I wanted to say blue cheese. They're kind of the same thing. Gorgonzola is a little bit milder, and I like that a little better than blue cheese. But anyway, this is for the green beans. And you can also put this on asparagus or broccoli. Well, you can put it on anything, but broccoli would be nice or asparagus would be nice. But a lot of people serve green beans around the holidays, so I thought green beans would be good. And again, all we're simply doing is we have our softened butter. We're chopping up a little bit of the tarragon. And you want to make sure that your cheese is a little bit soft too. And if it's not, put it in the food processor and whip it up a little bit to make it a little bit lighter. And if you need to with the cheese, you can add a little bit of cream or milk or something to it just to loosen it up a little bit if it's a little bit solid. Okay. And then we're going to put our tarragon in there. And a pinch of salt. And when you make these butters, especially when you're using something like Gorgonzola, because it's a very strong cheese, you might want to taste it. And again, start off with a smaller amount because you can always put more in. So taste it and see if you like it and see if it needs more. And that's it. And our last butter, the fourth compound butter, is simply honey and butter. It's that easy. Now you can go ahead and put cinnamon in it or nutmeg or anything else that you might like for the holidays, but I like to have just honey and butter. And this is excellent on rolls, but it's also great on pancakes or waffles. And you should just have this around all the time. There you go. So what I'd like to tell you now is when you make all of these butters, and you're probably saying to yourself, oh my gosh, now I have all these butters, and if I'm not going to use them all, what am I going to do? And the recipe calls for half a stick of butter, so it might be more than you use. The way to store it is to simply take a piece of cling wrap, and what you would do is put your butter in there. I'm not going to do it because we're going to use this butter, but you put your butter in there and you roll it up. And this is what you end up with. A nice little roll of butter like this. And you can store this in, well, what you do, roll it up and twist the ends like a hot dog and put twist ties on them. And then you end up with that little roll. And you can keep that in the refrigerator for probably about a week. It does have fresh herbs and, you know, garlic and stuff in it, so you don't want to keep it too long in the refrigerator. If you're not going to use it up, stick it in the freezer, which is what I've done with this one. I simply put it into a little baggie and keep it in the freezer, and then anytime I need this butter, I just cut off as much as I need. And I label it. This happens to be truffle butter. Okay, so now that we've got our compound butters finished, this was the herb and garlic butter that we made, and this is going to go under the chicken skin, not on top, but underneath. And if you wanted to do a whole chicken or a whole turkey, you can do that as well. It's really easy. And what you want to do is just put your hands underneath here, and you see how this just comes away like that? But you have to be very gentle so that you don't rip it. And you can use scissors or a knife if you need to. And what you want to do is make a little pocket there. You don't want to take it all the way off, okay? You want to leave that little pocket right there. And then what you're going to do is just with your fingers, take the butter and put it all underneath the skin. And if you need to move it around, you can smash it around like that on top. And you could salt and pepper this if you wanted to, depending if you have enough salt or pepper in your butter, if you've decided to do that. But you can season it a little bit with that. Okay, and then the next thing that we want to do is we want to put a little bit of olive oil on the skin, just a little bit, and rub it around. And what this is going to do is it's going to help the skin crisp up. Okay, so we're going to do that. Pinch of salt. A little bit of fresh pepper. And you're going to stick it in the oven. Now you want to preheat your oven to 400 degrees. And this is going to take, depending on the size of your chicken breast, it could take anywhere from 20 minutes to 45 minutes. Again, depending on the size of your chicken breast. And if you find that the chicken is cooked and you want to check it with an instant read thermometer, that's the best way to do it. You want it at 165 degrees at the thickest part. And you want to start checking it before your time's up. So if you think it's going to take 30 minutes for it to cook, you want to start checking around 20 minutes, okay? Just so you're not overcooking it, because it'll get dried out. So you want to check at 165 degrees. And if it's not brown enough for you, the skin isn't brown enough, but it's reached its temperature, then you can go ahead and move your rack up in your oven and broil this for just a couple of minutes, and it'll crisp that skin up. Okay, so what I wanted to tell you about the vegetables is this. You know how crazy it is around the holidays, and you've got 100 things going on at the same time, and you've got many more things to put in the oven, and you don't have oven space, and you have 10 pots on the stove. Well, the way to solve that problem is you want to cook your vegetables ahead of time. Now, I did these yesterday, and what you want to do is simply blanch them, which just means cook them briefly. And the beans here take about 3 to 5 minutes, depending on how many you have. And all you do is take a pot of boiling water, put a little salt in it, throw your raw beans in there after you've trimmed them up, and then you just cook them till they're fork tender. And you don't want to overcook them. And because if you do, there's an enzyme in there that changes the color of the bean, and it'll turn all gray and ugly looking. So to keep them nice and bright and green like this, you don't want to overcook them, 3 to 5 minutes. And then you want to have a big bowl of ice water set aside, because as soon as they're done, you want to throw them in that ice water so it stops the cooking process. Same thing with the carrots. So they're both nice and tender, crisp tender. And then you can put these in the refrigerator, and then on the day, on Christmas Day or whatever day it is that you need to prepare them, all you need to do is take them out of the refrigerator, put them in your pan, and heat them up, and put your compound butter on them, and that's what we're going to do right now. Okay, so now we have our vegetables, we're ready to warm them up. You take them out of the refrigerator and you put them in a pan, and you just heat them up, and as soon as they're heated up, you can put a lid on them, there's some water there, but you want to make sure to keep an eye on them so you're not burning them. Okay, so all you need to do is just heat them up, and when they're heated up, you take your nice compound butter and put as much on as you like, whether it's a teaspoon or a tablespoon or 4 tablespoons. So this was our Asiago cheese and tarragon, which we're going to put right on our beans. And that was probably about a teaspoon or so that I put on there. And this is our orange ginger butter that we're putting on our carrots. And again, that's probably a little over a teaspoon. And all you have to do is just mix it up until it's melted. You can add a little bit of salt, because remember, we're not using salted butter, and we didn't put a whole lot of salt in the butter. So you want to taste it and see if it needs a little bit of seasoning. You can put pepper on it if you like. And so when you're busy with the holidays, and with your guests, and you don't want to be spending all this time cooking, you see how long that took? 3 minutes. And we're good to go.